I'm Mike Van Dusen, Executive Vice President. Modern technology kept our President and CEO, Jane Harman, on the tarmac in New York City, or rather at LaGuardia Airport, for over 2 hours this morning. She has just landed and will be here shortly and will make a closing comment. She apologizes, but we wanted to get started. The Wilson Center is a public-private institution created by an act of Congress. It serves as the official national memorial to the 28th president. We tackle global issues through independent research, open dialogue, and actionable ideas. We seek to provide safe political space for addressing key public policy issues. Nuclear proliferation issues are a lane of excellence for the Center. Our Nuclear Proliferation International History Project is a global network of individuals and institutions engaged in the study of international nuclear history through archival documents, oral history, interviews, and other empirical sources. The Wilson Center has very strong ties with the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Joe Pilot from the lab is here this morning. The Wilson Center has followed the nuclear talks on Iran especially closely, and recently had 2 international ground truth briefings on these talks, conversations with experts in the field. And we're very proud to have Michael Adler on the podium here as a senior scholar at the Wilson Center. Michael was the Agence France-Presse correspondent in Vienna covering the IAEA for years. And he is now writing a book on the Iranian nuclear negotiations. Michael will moderate today's session. DG Amano, as I gather he is called in the corridors of Vienna, is here to help us understand the IAEA, help us understand how the IAEA is helping preserve the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty's grand bargain. He is uniquely qualified to do so. His career spanned 36 years in the Japanese Foreign Ministry, and he has served with the IAEA since the 1990s. He played a key role in securing an agreement to shut down Chernobyl's Unit Number 3 as chair of the G7 Nuclear Safety Group in the year 2000, and was chair of the IAEA's Board of Governors when the agency won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2005. Please join me in welcoming Director General Amano. Michael Adler Director General Amano will speak briefly, and then Michael Adler will have a dialogue with our guests for approximately 15-20 minutes, preserving half the time for your questions. Thank you for coming to the Wilson Center this morning. Director General.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be invited and given the opportunity to speak to you. I had meetings with some high U.S. officials yesterday, and today I'm delighted to meet Michael again, whom I know very well, and Michael knows very well about the IAEA. 4 years have passed since I joined the IAEA in 2009. And today I would like to explain a little bit about the activities of the IAEA. The IAEA is known as a nuclear watchdog, especially in media. But I would like to say that the IAEA's activity is much more extensive than the mere nuclear watchdog. For example, we are a very unique stakeholder to attain the Millennium Development Goals. Just for an example, cancer is a very serious problem in developing countries. Some people think that cancer is a problem in developed countries. It is totally wrong, because 2/3 of deaths by cancer occur in developing countries. And many countries in Africa do not have even single therapy machine, nuclear therapy machine in the country. They come to the clinic too late, and it is not possible to provide life-saving treatment. This is very unfair, and I am insisting that cancer control in developing countries should be established as a global health agenda. The nuclear technology can contribute a lot to save lives in developing countries. Everyone knows that in the coming years and decades, food shortage will be a serious problem as the world population expands. And here too, the nuclear technology can contribute by accelerating the plant mutation by applying radiation. We can prolong the shelf life of food, or we can eliminate the toxicity from the food. Water can be better managed by analyzing the aquifer by using nuclear technology. The IAEA has a huge project in sub-Saharan countries to better understand the water resource and its use. If I keep on talking about these things, it becomes endless, so I stop here. But the point is that IAEA has a technology. We have the function, transfer, and encourage people to use it safely. IAEA is a unique player to contribute to the promotion of Millennium Development Goals and its follow-up. I never thought that there would be such a huge nuclear accident during my tenure and in Japan. I had to use lots of time and energy to address this issue. If you have interest, I will come back to this issue. But the IAEA adopted an action plan to enhance the safety of nuclear power globally. Action plan is now implementation, and I can say that nuclear power plants are safer now compared to on the time before Fukushima Daiichi accident. Despite the belief or anticipation of some people, many countries continue to include nuclear power as an option in their energy mix. Of course, the non-proliferation is one of the important tasks of the IAEA. We are providing a regular report on Iran, Syria, and DPRK. These are different and complicated issues. In particular, Iranian nuclear issue is a very complicated one. But when I joined the agency, I announced a very simple standard. Every country needs to implement the comprehensive safeguard verification agreement between IAEA and member state, and other relevant obligations if there are any. I mean, for example, the United Nations Security Council resolutions. This is a universal standard, and all the countries, including Iran, need to abide by. By this standard, I can say that the material and facilities placed under safeguards in Iran are staying in peaceful purpose. But as some additional protocol and other obligations are not implemented, we cannot give the assurance that all the activities in Iran is in peaceful purpose. We had long negotiations with Iran in recent years. But in on October 28th and 29th this month, we had a meeting with Iran. In fact, after the coming of President Rouhani, we have carefully observed we had a meeting with new president of Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, Mr. Salehi, and we had two meetings. And on the 28th and 29th, we did have a very productive meeting. And I'm sure that you have interest, and I'll come back to this issue. On Syria, in 2011, I drew a conclusion that the facility that was destroyed was very likely a nuclear reactor that should be reported to the IAEA. And we are very confident that our conclusion is correct. There remain some facilities that we would like to clarify. And while Syria commits to cooperate with us fully, no follow-up has been made so far. But we also need to understand that Syria is in a very difficult situation. DPRK, viewing from Vienna, Iran is the most important and the only issue. I come from other part of the world, Japan, and seeing from Tokyo or Asia, this issue of North Korea is also a very serious issue. In one sense, the situation is worse because they have declared to have withdrawn from the NPT, expelled all the inspectors, and detonated nuclear weapons. But one positive thing is that with respect to DPRK, there is a framework of dialogue, 6 parties talk. It is a quite dynamic framework. It is not functioning now, but countries are working formally and informally to reactivate this process. The IAEA is ready to send back our inspectors, and we believe that we have an essential role to play in the verification of the denuclearization of Korean Peninsula. There are many others that I would like to mention, but let me say that IAEA is an organization with multiple objectives. Essentially, it is a technical organization, but we are working in a very highly political environment. And now I will stop and be happy to converse with Michael and later take your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niji. It is an honor and privilege for me to, and for the Wilson Center, to be hosting Mr. Amano. Mr. Amano is one of the first people I interviewed when I came to Vienna as a journalist, just over a decade ago, when he was Japan's ambassador to the UN Nuclear Agency. We have remained friendly and in touch since then. Director General Amano next month starts his second term as head of the IAEA after taking the helm in 2009. He has stamped the agency with his own style, one of plain talking and calling it like it is. In that spirit, I hope we can have a good session with my questions and with the audiences. So first, following on this meeting, which you had with Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, and then there was a meeting of the two sides. The atmosphere of the talks, as you said, was better. But the question is, when will we see concrete progress, such as a visit to the Parchin site?
Yes, we had a meeting with Iran on the 28th and 29th of October. This is the second meeting between Iran and IAEA after Mr. Rouhani became the president. The first one took place at the end of September, but it was a get-to-know each other meeting. Last meeting was a very positive meeting, and there was it was productive, and there was some positive development. And important thing is that there was a change. You said that there was some change of tone. Yes, there has been a change of tone since the coming of President Rouhani. But in the last meeting, there was some real change. I would like to mean that Iran made a proposal, and it contains some substance. and Iranian proposal is based on step-by-step approach. Iran and IAEA agreed to resolve all the present and past issues through cooperation and dialogue. The next step will be, now we are working, I mean IAEA and Iran are now working on the new proposal, and we carried forward at the November 11 meeting. If agreed sometime in the future, it will be a step forward, but by no means it means the end of the process, and much more needs to be done. This is where we stand now.
You say there was real progress made. You have several key demands. One is that you'll be able to go to Parchin, and the problem there is that a site which once was a container in the open now has a shed over it. It's not certain if the container is still there, and they've actually asphalted over the ground. So the question is, will they finally let you go there? And if you go, can you find anything? And then there's the other question, which you differed with them in the step-by-step approach. You want to be able to go back and ask questions at any time. Iran wants one file to be closed, you move on, you can't go back to the file, and you had problems with that in a previous work plan. Those are substantial issues which get to the heart of your being able to be effective. So besides this change in tone, will you be able to be effective on those issues and on others?
First question is about Parchin, and this is a part of the issue which we call issues with possible military dimension. In the report on Iran that I issued in November 2011, we have identified 12 areas where we need a clarification from Iran. Parchin is one of these 12 areas. We have agreed that all the issues will be resolved through cooperation and dialogue, and the access to Parchin will be dealt with as a part of the process. But we are now working on all the issues and how to move forward. Regarding the question whether we can go back to the place again or not, we have not discussed that much in details this time, but the basic agreement is that we will resolve all the issues through cooperation and dialogue, and this is very important, and that there's a basic agreement.
Okay, so I wish you luck going forward, and I hope you can make some progress. Another question about Iran. Are you currently inspecting Iran in a full enough way to be able to detect any breakout effort to make enough weapon-grade uranium for a bomb? Or would Iran have 2 weeks, say, between inspections where they could do this undetected?
As far as the facilities that are placed under safeguard, we are quite confident that we can find any changes or deviation in a reasonable amount of time. For them, if there is any facility that is not declared, we don't have that assurance.
And are you concerned that since you have not been applying the additional protocol since 2006, that they would be able to be hiding things from you elsewhere?
Application of additional protocol is essential and very helpful for us to have better understanding whether there is or there is not undeclared activities. And the implementation of additional protocol will give us more confidence on the peaceful nature of Iranian activities.
The advanced centrifuges they have, which they've installed in the Dons, they haven't put nuclear material in them yet, or as of the last report. How good are those centrifuges? Do you think that they'll work?
We don't know yet. As they are not operating, we can't tell how effective they are. But the main purpose of our inspection is not to verify how effective or how little effective they are. Our main objective is to verify that the material and facilities stay in peaceful activities.
And regarding PMD, which is a huge sticking point, is the agency's aim to uncover details of all alleged PMD activities, or simply to verify that Iran is no longer engaged in such activities?
We would like to we are seeking clarification to Iran, and we would like to clarify the present and past activities. How far we can go, how far we can detect, it depends. We have not started, so we cannot tell for sure what would happen, but it is essential that Iran cooperate with us to clarify these issues.
If Iran cleared up the past, would they get a sort of amnesty? In other words, could they come forward, they clear up the past, and there wouldn't be measures against them for this? It would just be one step towards going towards a deal? Or would there have to be some kind of sanction? I realize that's a bad choice of words, but
in resolving the Iran nuclear issues, there are two routes. One is the IAEA Iran route, and another is the P5+1 or EU 3+3 route. These two routes are different, independent, and separate. In the route between Iran and IAEA, the main focus is on the verification. Therefore, we would like to see the implementation of additional protocol, more timely provision of information, which is called modified implementation of modified code 3.1, but simply it means timely provision of information about the Iran nuclear activities. And as you mentioned, the clarification of possible military dimension. The parties that attend these talks are Iran and IAEA too. On the other hand, the P5+1 or EU 3 dialogue is dealing with the possible lifting of sanctions, possible limitation of enrichment activities, as I understand, and the parties involved are different. Three countries are from EU, Russia, China, and United States, and they are negotiating with Iran. An important meeting will take place on the 7th and 8th of November next month.
as you pointed out, the two tracks are really separate from each other. But hasn't Iran said very clearly, actually, that there can be no progress in Vienna until there is progress with the P5+1? And doesn't this inject an element of politicizing the IA, which stymies your work?
I haven't heard that since President Rouhani started. In the past, there were some indications. Sometimes there was such indication. Sometimes there was no indication. But I can tell you that after the coming of President Rouhani, we had a number of contacts with them, including my meeting with Mr. Salehi, Mr. Alakuchi, but we haven't heard this linkage.
So that would be a truly substantial change, if that's the case.
I think so. There is some substance in the new proposal by Iran, and we would like to carry it forward in the next meeting scheduled on the 11th of November.
You arrived here in Washington. You've met with Secretary Kerry.
Yes.
And you've met with Susan Rice at the White House. What are they telling you about how they see hopes for progress in Iran? And what are they telling you about the IAEA and how they feel you're doing?
I have met with Secretary Kerry, Ms. Susan Rice, as well as others, and we have discussed the Iran nuclear issues, ocean acidification, or with some other support to the peaceful activity, peaceful application of nuclear power, wide range of issues. I sensed a strong support to the activities of the IAEA, but it's a diplomatic practice not to talk about the ongoing discussions.
Did they give you any idea about the upcoming talks in Geneva?
Upcoming talks in Geneva. Not much. There is some the technical discussion has just took place in Vienna, and P5+1 is preparing for the next meeting, but I don't have much to report to you on this issue.
Just two quick questions, and then I'll turn it over to the audience. The first is on Syria. How intact are those sites? Have they been affected by the civil war? Is there still a place you can go and do proper verification?
In Syria, we have the so-called miniature neutron source reactor that has some small amount of high enriched uranium, and that is under IAEA safeguard. We visit that facility regularly, and that facility is staying in peaceful activities. Recently, we haven't visited because of the obvious reasons, but we don't have any indication that things getting worse.
And at the other three sites?
Yeah,
Do you want to go to?
Three sites. Three sites are not under. We have two different things. One is the Syrian nuclear facility under safeguards, and the miniature neutron source reactor is the other one that I mentioned is under safeguard. There is another issue of the destroyed facility located in the place called Daya al-Zur. We drew conclusion that it is very likely that it was a nuclear reactor. But nuclear reactor does not exist independently, and we have interest in verifying the functionally related facilities. There are three, but these facilities are not under safeguard.
Right.
We need negotiation with them to have access to them, and we have not yet had access to these facilities. We don't know how these facilities are for now.
And do you know if any of them have been affected by the fighting? And
We don't know.
we don't know. Just my last question on North Korea. You explained very well the situation. My question is, if and when the IA returns to North Korea, what would be the verification approach, given that a continuity of knowledge has been lost? And would safeguards inspections be enough, or must you return to North Korea with tools like the additional protocol for wider inspections?
According to the United Nations Security Council resolutions, North Korea has to implement all the IAEA safeguards. But the reality is that North Korea has declared to have withdrawn from the NPT. There are some argument on the legal procedure of withdrawal, but the reality is that North Korea is not acting as a member of the NPT. It is also clear that North Korea has withdrawn from the IAEA, and North Korea is not a member of the IAEA. So in order to do any activities in North Korea, we need the first political agreement among the major stakeholders, and we need the consent from the Board of Governors, that means the policy-making body of the IAEA. What can we do with respect to North Korea? I think the first step that we can take is a small step. Perhaps we will send back our inspectors to Yongbyon, where they exist the nuclear facilities. This will be a small step, but I think it has lots of meaning. And when we had an inspector in Yongbyon up to April 2009, we had better knowledge. Now we continue to monitor, but our knowledge is decreasing. The next first step that we need to take is to send back our inspectors to Yongbyon.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'd like to open up questions from the audience. Members of the press, please hold your fire. We will have a press conference later. And when you ask a question, please wait for the microphone to be passed to you. State your name and affiliation. And as always, please ask a question. We don't have much time. We want to get as many questions in as possible, so no speeches. Holly, please.
Thank you very much. One of the P5+1 goals is to secure more quote-unquote intrusive inspections by the IAEA. What would these more intrusive inspections involve? And what is it that you need to do that you are not doing now? As
this is the issue discussed in P5+1, I cannot give the definitive answer. But when we say intrusive answer, basically it means the measures contained in the additional protocol. Additional protocol is the more intrusive verification measures than the normal comprehensive safeguard agreement. But intrusive inspection can mean more than the measures included in the additional protocol, and sometimes it is needed. Did I? It is fine. Did I answer your question? That's
more or less.
Rob Edvak.
Thank you, Director General Amano, and welcome to the Wilson Center. I'd like to ask a question with sort of a broader optic and time frame. The discussion up to now has been on specific countries of concern. More broadly, looking ahead, there will be an expansion of nuclear energy for energy security reasons and because it is the primary source of low carbon energy going forward. How will that expansion of nuclear energy, notwithstanding the setback that there's been in Japan with the Fukushima reactor problem, but broadly, if advanced industrial societies and developing countries will increase reliance on nuclear energy, how can that expansion be accomplished without creating proliferation risks? And what does that in turn mean for the IAEA's mission, its resources? Could you just address that broader situation?
Okay. According to our latest estimate of this summer, there will be increase of the use of nuclear power by 2030. Lowest scenario would be increase of 17%, 1/7, and the highest scenario will be 90%. So we foresee that there would be a steady increase of the use of nuclear power. What does it mean for us? It certainly increase the workload of inspection. Therefore, we are doing maximum efforts to rationalize and make the inspection more effective and efficient with the same amount of money. We cannot expect a big increase of fund in the coming years at least. Another very important thing that we are doing with countries, especially so-called newcomers, is to recommend them to follow the step that we call milestone document. Embarking on nuclear power is a huge project. It takes long years and it requires meticulous preparation. In one word, countries that want to embark on nuclear power needs to strengthen nuclear infrastructure. By nuclear infrastructure, I mean the ratification of major international conventions, establish regulatory bodies, enact domestic laws, and train people, capacity building, and make a good selection of site and technology. We have identified 19 steps to prepare for the embarking on nuclear power, and we are assisting these countries. I would like to be sure that we are not encouraging or discouraging the use of nuclear power, but if countries use nuclear power, they must use it safely, securely, and without increasing the risk of proliferation. By these efforts, I hope that these countries can use nuclear power without increasing the risk of proliferation.
Over here, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Amano. I'm Benjamin Tua, a retired diplomat. Mr. Amano, can you speak to the nature of your the IAEA's contacts with Israeli officials, senior and not so senior, and visits by IAEA officials to Israel?
We have regular contact with the ambassador in Vienna. I visited Israel, and they sent senior staff to the General Conference. General Conference is the most important meeting of the IAEA that takes place in September. And also, for example, when I attend other meetings like Davos or Munich Security Conference, I have contact with senior officials of Israel. So we have regular and normal contact with Israel, and I believe that is helpful to have good communication with Israel.
I'll come back here just a second. The furthest one back there.
Thank you. Sarah Williams from the Partnership for Global Security. I wanted to ask about if you could speak a little bit to the IAEA's role in the Nuclear Security Summit process and how that has developed over the years and where you see that going following what we expect to be the last summit in Washington in 2016. Thank you.
The first big event for me after I joined the IAEA was to attend the Nuclear Security Summit held in Washington in 2009. I was tasked to make a presentation in front of President Obama, and I was thrilled and I was excited. I was frightened, but I could survive. After that, I regularly attend the Nuclear Security Summit, and we make our input. The IAEA has a central role in strengthening the nuclear security. We have the information and we have the capacity to analyze. We have the illicit trafficking database. This year, we have already had 400 information on the illicit trafficking of fissile and radioactive materials. Information is very important. We have the capacity to help countries in capacity building or donation of equipment. We can train people, and we can establish a standard like nuclear security guidance. Through all of these efforts, we can strengthen the nuclear security in concrete manner. We make an input to the Nuclear Security Summit, and the summit participants give guidance and instruction to the government staff in their own countries to strengthen the nuclear security measures. One of the areas that we are focusing is the entry into force of the amendment of the Convention on the Physical Protection of Nuclear Material. This is a complicated name, but we call it CPPNM and its amendment. The convention itself has entered into force, but its scope is limited. Mainly, it is applied to the ocean transport, sea transport. Amendment expands on the scope. If amendment enters into force, the nuclear power plant, for example, on the land can be covered by this convention. So we are promoting the entry into force of the CPPNM amendment, and with that, we believe that we can enhance we can strengthen the nuclear security. IAEA has held a huge meeting at ministerial level on nuclear security in July this year. It was attended by 1,200 people. That was one of the biggest meetings of the IAEA, and will continue to hold these conferences, and will strengthen our nuclear security office to promote it to a division.
Barbara?
Hello, my name is Hyunwoo Kim, and I'm.
Sorry.
Describe
Thanks very much. Barbara Slavin from the Atlantic Council. Welcome to Washington. My understanding of the Iranian proposals is that they want to keep the facilities that they currently have and perhaps even build new nuclear infrastructure. But in return, they would provide much greater transparency. Is that also your understanding? And as part of that transparency, do you understand that the Iranians would agree to 24-hour monitoring with remote cameras? Thank you.
Barbara, by that you mean that there would be live streaming back to Vienna?
Yes,
right.
online.
So it wouldn't be picking up cartridges, it would actually be 24/7.
In the IAEA Iran route, we are not discussing that much details at this stage. We have agreed to resolve all the issues through cooperation and dialogue. All issues mean current and past. And Iran made a proposal based on step-by-step approach, and it contains some substance. We are working on them, and we'll carry it to the November 11th meeting, and we'll see.
Darryl?
Thank you. Darryl Kimball, Arms Control Association. Good to see you. I have a question about special inspections. Under the Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement that Iran has and other countries, the agency, as I understand, does have the option to conduct a special inspection. So my question to you is with reference to the questions about potential military dimensions. Has the agency considered this? Could it be useful in resolving either the current or the past questions about those activities? And then on technical cooperation, the agency provides a lot of technical cooperation to states regarding nuclear energy. We had a question about that before. What steps is the agency taking to ensure that that technical cooperation does not provide assistance to nuclear weapons programs? For instance, Pakistan has gotten technical assistance for uranium mining, as well as heavy water reactor operations, and it has used uranium mining and heavy water facilities to produce plutonium. So what assurances can you provide that that technical cooperation is not directly or indirectly assisting in the manufacture of nuclear weapons?
We are giving some technical cooperation to the facility that is under safeguard. And we are not assisting military activities at all. And for the countries that have not yet embarked on nuclear power, we are helping them to adhere to the conventions, to establish the regulatory system, safeguard system, and help them in every way to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. For the special inspections, certainly special inspection is a tool available under the IAEA Comprehensive Safeguard Agreement. But it has some conditions, and we can call for special inspection under special circumstances. And it was called for in case of North Korea and Romania. And the case was a bit different, but I'm not aware of other cases in which we have called for special inspections.
We're not that successful with North Korea.
When we called for special inspection, they declared to withdraw from the NPT.
Right. A negative reaction. In the middle, please.
Thank you. Justin Anderson, SAIC. Director General, I wonder if you could comment on the general state of health from your perspective and from the IAEA's perspective of the additional protocol, both as a framework and also as it's been implemented with specific countries. Additional protocol approach has been around for a few years now. How do you and the agency feel that it's worked in terms of strengthening your ability to safeguard nuclear materials? And if there's anything you would change, whether in terms of the diplomacy part of it, or the technical or scientific aspects of it, what would you seek to change in the future? Thank you.
The immediate objective for us, or in the near future, is to universalize the additional protocol. We have been invested lots of efforts in expanding the application or implementation of the additional protocol. When I joined the IAEA in 2009, there were 93 countries that implemented additional protocol. Now 121 countries are implementing additional protocol. Additional protocol is an essential tool to exclude the possibility of undeclared activities, and we would like to see more countries will adhere to the additional protocol. Whether can we do more or not, I think that the priority for now for us is to universalize or expand the number of countries that implement additional protocol.
Unfortunately, truly unfortunately, because the questions are excellent, every single one, we're going to break off the questions now because our dear leader, Jane Harman, is going to speak. The Honorable Jane Harman.
The dear leader reference is a little uncomfortable, but Mr. Amano, I regret that the air traffic control system in our country prevented me from welcoming you here at the front end of this. I'm Jane Harman, and before becoming president and CEO of the Wilson Center 2.5 years ago, I served as a member of our Congress for 9 terms, and I met with you in Vienna as part of a bipartisan congressional delegation in January 2010, just after you had assumed your responsibilities as the Director General. We in Congress at the time knew 3 things about you, and they still apply. Number 1, we knew how competent you are from your years as chair of the Board of Governors of the IAEA. Number 2, we knew about your straight talk. I think everyone here in this high-level audience has heard all that. And number 3, we knew about your willingness to take strong action, all of which are essential as the IAEA goes forward in an extremely dangerous world. You described 3 countries. There probably are others that could be on a longer list. But you honor us by making the Wilson Center your only public stop after the P5+1 conference since the election of President Rouhani. And you honor us by taking our questions and letting us showcase some of our ace scholars here, like Hala Esfandiari, who's head of our Middle East program, and Rob Litvak, who is our vice president for scholars, and the wonderful rock star Michael Adler, who contributes so much, everyone agrees, right, to this subject of trying to understand Iran's intentions and trying to make the soundest policy choices. So I want to thank you, and I want to remind everyone that when President Wilson accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1919 by letter, he presciently wrote that the cause of peace will be a continuing labor. Almost 100 years later, the cause of peace is a continuing labor, and a reason that I hope we will make progress is because we have the IAEA under very strong leadership, your leadership. Thank you very much, and thank all of you very much for coming.
Well, this concludes our program. I would like to thank Director General Amano for coming. It was a great privilege, and I think it was a great session with excellent questions. If everybody now would leave the auditorium, we're going to have a press conference here. So if the press would come forward, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. I'm from Japan, HK. My name is Tanaka. Nice to see you, Mr. Amano. First of all, on North Korea, how do you feel close your inspector going back to Nyeonbyong?
How close?
Yes, you are feeling. And one more question of Fukushima. And when are you going to send your team to Fukushima power plant to investigate contaminated water? Thank you.
Okay. First, regarding the question when IAEA go back to North Korea, the honest answer is we don't know. The reason, the reason is that in order to go back to North Korea, we need a basic political understanding, at least among the major stakeholders, and only based on this basic understanding, we can take action. You may recall that North Korea is not a member of the IAEA, and when the IAEA takes action with a country that is not a member, we need support from the Board of Governors. Nevertheless, the IAEA Secretariat is prepared to go back anytime. We maintain the level of training. We stay, get prepared, and when there is political agreement, we will seek the authorization from the board, and we'll send back our staff who are ready anytime to be back. Next question about the sending of the peer review missions of the IAEA related to the contaminated water. We are planning to send our peer review missions in autumn, perhaps towards the end of October. That is the IAEA mission on decommissioning, and it covers the contaminated water issues. Sorry, November, sorry, November. The date is almost decided, but as I'm traveling, I don't have the latest information, but our plan is to send it to the end of October. Oh, no, November, sorry.
Hello, my name is Miho Takashima with Tokyo Broadcasting System. There are a lot of commercial satellites pretty much in the public saying that the Yeonbyong facility reactivated. Do you share that assessment? Could you first of all elaborate on the IAEA assessment, what is happening in Yeonbyong, and how concerned are you with the status quo? Thank you.
We are aware of the media report on the observation or findings by the satellite imagery using the commercial satellites. We are also following the issue through various means, but because of the nature of the issue, I am not able to discuss it, and I hope you understand it.
Michael Gordon, New York Times. At the last meeting of the P5+1, it was noted there was a positive tone, the atmospherics were good. It was agreed that it was a kind of meeting that required follow-up, as indeed will happen next week. And it seems from your remarks that in the IAEA's dealings with Iran, there's also been a positive atmosphere that's going to result in follow-up. But what people are waiting for and waiting to see is whether this positive tone will yield concrete, specific steps that result either in increased monitoring of the Iranian program or some constraints on their current activity. From your perspective, from the IAEA perspective, what specific concrete steps would you like to achieve in the upcoming weeks and months that would signal progress in dealing with Iran? Something that went beyond atmospherics and positive discussions.
For us, it is important that additional protocol will be implemented. Timely information about the nuclear facilities, activities of Iran will be provided, and some other issues with possible military dimension will be clarified. These are the whole set of issues that requires concrete measures. However, in practical terms, not everything can come overnight, and Iran proposed a step-by-step approach, and this proposal contains some substance. We are now working on that, and we'll carry it towards to the November 11th meeting.
Could I just ask just a quick follow-up? Is the Iranian step-by-step their the priorities they set out in terms of how the process should work? Do you think that that's the correct way to proceed, or do you have your own ideas about how to proceed, and that's what remains to be discussed with them?
Our view is that there should be a basic agreement that all the issues, past and present, should be resolved through cooperation and dialogue, and that all the issues that I mentioned should be clarified and implemented. But that is a process, and that is a process, and that cannot be done overnight. And we are now working on them. And the measures need to include the transparency, timely provision, or clarification of possible military dimensions.
Thanks. Sean Tandon, colleague of my esteemed Michael at AFP. Getting into, as well to Iran, with the upcoming meetings, you mentioned you can't get into the detail, but how important do you think these meetings will be? Is this potentially a make or break moment in terms of the diplomacy with Iran, or do you see this as just one stage? And related to that a bit, in the administration here in the US, there's been a call to not suspend sanctions, but to freeze movement to further sanctions. I realize the IAEA has a different role, but do you have any view on whether this is the time to be freezing those sanctions efforts, the additional sanctions efforts?
We think we are in a very important period. We have been negotiating for quite a long time, but the negotiation went round in circles up to quite recently. And after the coming of President Rouhani, we see first a change of tone, change of atmosphere, and now we see some substance in their proposals. So we need to work seriously and constructively to work out an agreement. Regarding your question about the sanctions, the IAEA is not dealing with the sanction. It is addressed by the United Nations Security Council Security Councils, or in the P5+1 or EU 3+3 talks. And the sanction is not under the competence of the IAEA.
Thank you, Director General. My name is Jean Nguyen with Voice of Vietnamese Americans. With your capacity, your power, all you have done, thank you very much. Would you share with us the data we have on the nuclear capacity of China? Since I feel that as China rising and we recognizing its global power moving forward is the most important factors that the US and the whole world knows about where China is with its nuclear capacity and its intention. And there's a small question, tack on to the question earlier, that Vietnam is also getting into nuclear energy, not power. But Vietnam has tremendous problems with waste management, health infrastructures, and all that. So is there anything that you can suggest with Vietnam or the UN to put in as a policy for other similar nations to apply, to implement when we're getting more into the nuclear energy? Thank you.
I said that by 2030, there would be an increase by 17% at the minimum and 90% at the maximum. But geographically, the center of expansion is in Asia, and more specifically, China, India, and South Korea. So it is very clear that Asia, and in particular, China is the center of expansion of the use of nuclear power. I understand that China is very serious about ensuring safety and security, and China and IAEA are working in close cooperation. Regarding Vietnam, Vietnam is also planning to embark on nuclear power. Again, IAEA and Vietnam are working very closely. We have worked together. I have visited the country, and now the ambassador of Vietnam to Vienna is the chairman of the board. We have been supporting and we will continue to support Vietnam to strengthen the nuclear infrastructure to embark on nuclear power.
Thank you. Fadi Mansour with Al Jazeera Network. You may recall the red line set by Israeli Prime Minister last year at the UN regarding the ability of Iran to produce a nuclear weapon. Based on the expertise available to your agency, if the Iranians were to decide to produce a nuclear weapon, how far do you think they are from achieving that goal? And if I may take a second shot at the question.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Do you have any kind of assessment if the Iranians were to decide to produce a nuclear weapon, how long it will take them to do that? The second question is, again, on the issue of the sanctions. I guess I would like to rephrase it in a way to see if you think that any easing of the sanctions now would create a more positive atmosphere for negotiations between your agency and the Iranians. Thank you.
Well, these are two issues. The prospect for the time needed for Iran to develop nuclear weapons and the effect of sanctions. Unfortunately, these are not my field. How long it will take to develop nuclear weapons is your question, but our function is how we can ensure the activities stay in peaceful purpose. And we are not providing military outlook. And I hope you understand our function. Also, regarding the sanction, we don't have the word of sanction in our statute, and we are not negotiating or involved in the sanction-related issues. What we do is to send our inspectors to the ground. We verify and we share the information with member states to facilitate the decision by member states. We say that in the IAEA Iran route, we had some constructive meeting. Iran made a proposal which contains some substance, and we reported to the member states, and we share it with media. And it is some other countries, member states, that need to make their policy.
Last question.
Hi, my name is Kobayashi with Kyoto News of Japan, and I would like to make just one follow-up question on the P5+1 meeting. About regarding the proposal for the process to building a mutual confidence building, at this point, do you expect the IAEA could be involved in the verification process of the measure? Thank you.
IAEA has been involving in the verification from the beginning, and this is our work. And we are in charge of the verification of nuclear activities of Iran and the other countries, and we'll continue to do so. And as I mentioned, the P5+1 and IAEA Iran route are different route. And our main focus is on the verification.
Okay, thank you all very much for coming, and thank you, Dr. Amano.
Thank you very much.